Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Evans with another quick YouTube tutorial. We're gonna go over Rails validations today. Go ahead and hit that like and smash that subscribe button. I promised Dick I'd say that during lecture, so yeah. Ring the bell. Notification squad, where you at? Wow, 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 wow. So what we're gonna do now is we're just going to take a look at this file structure, right? So what does resource build for me? It builds out the model, it builds out the migration, it builds an empty views folder, and it will build out the controller. It will also build the routes. Very good. Cool, right? So, boom. We have right now the model. In the controller, we have a controller. We have a views, just that empty scouts folder, like I said. DB, we have a migration. And then we have routes, right? Where's routes? Cool, right? Great. So, can anyone tell me what the routes are, what the RESTful routes are? What are they? Very clear. Yeah. Does anyone, just a quick thumbs up flash if you know the RESTful routes, right? Powerful. Awesome. All right, good deal. So I'm just going to leave this knowing what it builds for me and the fact that I can, in fact, customize it if I want to. So let's do this. Let's build out these RESTful routes. Cool. We don't really need the index right now, so I'm just going to skip index, meaning I'm just going to go bloop, bloop, get bloop, 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 bloop. Nice, good deal. So, like these shortcuts? All right, so I got rid of index, right? So all I'm going to do is build show. Do I need anything for show? What do I need? Okay. You're saying, everyone is saying the right thing, but nobody said the complete thing, right? Yeah. So I'm not looking for the code necessarily, right? The idea here is, yeah, right. So inside the show, I need to know which one I'm actually going to display, and I need to talk to the model. So scout, squirt. They wear skirts, yes. And where are they? How am I going to find this? Where's params ID coming from? Right here, right? Cool. Wow. Never skip the beat. Great. Do I have to render here? No, I don't, right? But I can render if I wanted to. Cool. So what does show include and how do I build it? Great. So in Scouts, I'm going to build something called show. And here I'm just going to, right? Powerful Scout. Right? Actually, let's get fancier. Powerful Scout. We have the Scout here, and we have that person's planet. Right? There we go. I was waiting. I know. I'm gone one day. Tanked. All right, cool. So what else do we have here? Oops. What the? Oh, embarrassing. Cool. I'm looking for the schema file, and it's not coming up. Why? Gotta handle that. I gotta let them know what time it is. Cool. Great. So now I have the schema. Oops. Right? And all I do is this. Bloop, a little bit of this. And I jump right back to my show. I paste it in. Now I can see them all just as like a quick reference, right? So all I have to do is add scout, right? And then hair color as like an attribute. And I could just put a label here if I wanted to, right? Like a label tag. And I'm just gonna put like hair color. Cool. And then I'm gonna do this, bloop bloop. And then, right, pet here, and then what else? What do we got? Age. Cool. And then we can just put like has a, and then age is. This is so dicey, so dicey. Age is. Oh yeah, you're right. This is just a Boolean, right? Let's see. Yeah, has pet question mark, and then this age is. I don't know. You just say age, yeah, right? That's not dicey. Cool. Why did I do this? So, anyways, a show page is built, right? Do I need to test this? Yes. Good, please. How do I do this again? I need to start. Oh, dang. I just start up the server. I do a little this action. Oop. Right, and then this is scouts. Just kidding. That's the index that I didn't build, right? So what error do I see? And then I need what? Great. Do I have a scout? Great. Great. So let's build one. In the scouts controller, I need to do what? Here's good practice. Ready? Yeah? You'll see me do that a lot in JavaScript. What is this? What route is this? The new, right? I just need that form. Whoops. Yeah, cool. What do I need here? Right, I need this because I know I will be building a form for, and that requires an object. And I'm just going to pass it as shell, right? An empty scout object. So in scouts, I have a new, and then all it's going to do is a quick, right, h1, right, make a new scout. Make sure you get credit for it, right, tm. Otherwise, it's illegal. So this, we'll take this, we'll take, look up, and I'll go over what that is later, right? And I have that scout object. Cool. So look at this, f.label. So we're going to do it the right way. And this is going to be a label for what? What are my attributes? Planet. Cool.
I think that should be a checkbox.
Dang it, I lost the shortcut for this.
Yeah.
Huh? All right, great.
Yeah.
So I have these, right? A little Command-Shift-D, bloop, bloop. And then I have what? Age. What else do I have?
Is it number field different?
Like pet, something like that? And then there's another one, right? Like hair color, clown. Hair color, cool. And then finally, I need the, right? Oh, embarrassing. Thank you. Thank you all. So, this is definitely some text, right? And this is what?
Number field.
Number. And then for pet is a why?
Because it's a Boolean.
So I just put checkbox or checkbox field?
I think you would have to Google it, because I don't know.
I'm just gonna leave it at checkbox, and then if it's wrong, I'm gonna put checkbox field, right? Cool. So what about this hair color? Cool. Let's check out this this new scout. And how do I get there? Powerful. I said that to my brothers this weekend, and I guess thank you all. Right? You guys are amazing. My brothers were sick of it in like 6 minutes. They're like, Evans, you're not. Stop it. Powerful is not great. So, cool. My form, right? What do I need to do now? Great, right? Let's go with obviously the most popular one, sun, right? I don't know, 8 billion years old, right? Pet, you know it. Hair color is fire yellow. Fire yellow. That's fine, right? What's going to happen when I click create scout? There's going to be a no route error, right? There is no, actually just kidding, no, the route exists. The route exists. The route exists, right? It is built for you in resources. So the controller exists, but the method does not exist. Oh. Right? Any questions on why I was able to conclude that it was no method? Awesome. Right? Great. So what do I do now? I simply make one, right? With the, what are scout params? Yo. Them gains though, right? Cool. And yes, team.
Is there a way to override that? Like, you didn't feel like creating a private method, just wanted to be regular. Is there a way to override Rails? Steven did that. Where you put it in the application controller.
What is your question?
Can you just, you have to always have strong points. If I was that.
Can you get away without strong params?
Yeah.
Rails will block anything that's not whitelisted.
Right.
So strong params is this design pattern where I'm literally going to create a method called scout params, and I'm simply going to make sure in my params I ask for the scout, right, which is the nested hash that comes through my params built for me from the form 4, and then I'm going to permit the attributes. So I know I have something like age, I know something like hair color, I know I have something like planet, and then finally I have like whether or not I have a pet. This is a design pattern. If, however, I simply copied this and put it here, it would work. These, however, are the strong params. So you would not ever be able to successfully create an object and touch your database through Rails without it. Yeah? Cool. But you do not have to write it this way, but you will need to permit. Are there any questions on that? Like I could have called this anything I want, right? Like let these through, right? And then obviously just call let these through like here if I wanted to.
So why make private?
Hodor? Huh?
Why make private?
Let me ask you this.
I mean,
What
I
is
know,
private?
I'm just asking.
Stop the madness. Does anyone actually need me to explain why it's in private?
So it's a block we try to do the old ways, like the whitelisting and whitelisting.
Hmm?
I don't know, I Googled it and it said for strong params they use whitelisting and blacklisting.
What is whitelisting? What is blacklisting?
Essentially what strong params do.
But what is whitelisting? What is blacklisting? Okay, whitelisting. It's a very good question. When I say whitelisting, I simply mean that I'm going to allow these through. Think of them as like a bouncer and checking to see whether or not your name is on the list,
You can do that in
right?
Chrome.
And that is whitelisting. If your name is not on the list, it will automatically block them. Blacklisting means I'm going to specifically look for the dirtbag that I kicked back out last week named Connor or Brad, and I'm going to put his name, do not allow through. Just kidding, right? Just kidding. Your boy, right? If somebody comes with a driver's license that says your boy or McLovin, absolutely do not let that person in, right? That's known as blacklisting. Like, I'm specifically naming somebody I don't want to come in. Cool? Great. So in this create, I'm just going to make this. And then what? And then it's just going to hang, right? It's just going to finish and go great, and then render a white screen because it will do what?
Look for create HTML file. ERB.
Right, so we should instead,
Redirect.
powerful class. The show page, right? Now it's scout, right? Scout's out, cool. Right? Nice, so this create is done. Let's actually test it, make it work. So planet, we have sun, super old, doesn't have a pet, lots, and hair color.
Yellow. Fire yellow.
Powerful yellow. Powerful yellow. Cool. Great scout. What's going on here? I did. Saw that? Errors are your friend. Little back action, little create scout again. Cool. Powerful. And like pretty old. Cool. Questions on this? Great. So the weird thing is I should not be able to do this. Bloop. But I can. Right? We talked about like validating your database.
We don't want that.
All right. So here's how we do it. Let's think about this. I can simply do in case I ever forget. Wow. Rails validations. Let's do this. Why use validations? Because the internet's scary and there are people that will put bad data inside your website, right? You guys want to see? This is how I start. This is how I like to start these. Well, let's take a look at the wiki. Just to take a look at, you're in week 2, it's a powerful class, right? In the Rails forms validations. This is what happens when you ask users to use your application. In the same way that if you told somebody like, hey, here's a glass of water, please drink it, this is what winds up happening. Users just do not know how to use your application. You will be surprised how incredibly intuitive certain things have become, and you're just like, dude, it's just a glass of water. And they will have to figure out how to use your application. So in this example, right, sometimes, for example, let's just say in my application, I was in new. Yeah, you guys like that? You guys like that? Very good. For age, if I did not have a number field, I had a text field instead. Somebody said, hey, what's the age? Naturally, you would think they would put a number in. Somebody will try to type at some point inside age 20, right? Just thinking that, oh, this is what it's looking for. And naturally, will that mess up your data? Right? Because if you do, hey, is this person legal? Are they greater than 18? And then if you do greater than 18 and compare it against the string 20, what will happen? Right. And so you want to make sure you have validations inside your database so that the data is exactly what you want it to be or expect it to be. Cool? Great. So let's do that. How can we, let's think about this. In my controller, in my model, and inside my view, where would I want to make sure something is going to my database properly? Why the model? Because the model interacts with the database, right? So naturally, that would make sense to me. Somewhere in here, I would build some sort of validation. Cool. Now, wouldn't it be nice if this method was just simply called validates? And it just takes an argument, right? Like, I don't know, planet. And I'm saying presence true. So I'm going to validate inside my scout class that the attribute of planet must be true. Validates will create a validation for you, right? So let's do it. If I were to refresh and I were to try to submit this and hit create scout, interesting. Oh, got it. Okay, here's why. If it cannot create, I forgot. If it cannot create, right, it does not work. Redirect to @scout. Does @scout exist if this fails? No. So instead of going to the show page, where do you think Rails will intelligently try to default to? It will try to render the index page. Right? So naturally, if I fail, you will see it's trying to get to the index, which I purposely excluded right in the beginning, right? Because I wanted to point out this Rails automagic. So, does that make sense? Great. How can we test this? Oh, sorry.
Bye, Bob.
Wow, embarrassing. Saw that? What is this, mod 1? Great. If I hit create scout, I should hit the buy bug. Right? What do you think happens when I do this? When I try to do at scout equals to create, what will happen?
You're gonna give it
Begin transaction, rollback transaction. This is actually what was returned to me. Everything nil. It didn't actually successfully save. So I can see simply at scout, and I can say, what happened? What are the errors?
whoa, cool.
After that, I can see something that says, there are these like details in here, something called messages. Can't be blank. Well, I want to take a look at those full messages. Just kidding.
Is a message is instead of message?
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm just asking for its full messages. And naturally, the first thing I want to do is when I see something like that is, what kind of object is that? Is it a hash?
Can you interpolate the lines for you?
It's an array-like object. Psych, it's an array. Got him, coach, right? Because you want to make sure. So with this actual array, what can I do?
Use any array method.
I use any array method, right? Wow, that's powerful. So let's think. First thing I want to do is if, not this one, if, what happens?
Scout is blank.
If this works, right, redirect. Else, what do I want to happen?
Flash message.
I want to see something called at, I don't know, let's just do this, right? Errors equals to the at scout dot errors dot full messages, right? That would give me access to something called errors. But what I want to do now is with these errors, what do I want to do? Do I want to bring them to the show page? Do I want to, what should I do? If it doesn't save, right, you're on this create form for a scout. You want to probably do exactly that. You want to basically go, hey, look, it didn't work. Throw back the new form and actually have the errors on the page. Like, hey, it didn't work because name can't be blank. Or whatever the error is. So here, I'm actually going to render. And then I'm going to render the new. Cool? So, does errors exist in the new page as it stands right now? No. I need to pass in the errors like this. So when I render new, I'm going to have something called at errors. But let's think about this new here. I have this at scout, right? Do I have at scout in here?
No. Yes.
Do I?
Yeah, because the validation makes the new thing, but it doesn't save it, so it's still a variable from your model.
Let's check. Ready? I can move the buy bug.
The app scout in new is different from the app scout in create.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's find out, right? I'm gonna drop the buy bug. I know that, thank you. I know that this will fail. So I should hit this else statement. And then I'm gonna hit this buy bug. Cool? Powerful. Cool, yeah? All right, great. So back to new. I'm gonna hit the create scout and I should, no route matches, get to slash scouts. What's happening? There's still no index. Why is it hitting the index? So what I want to do is like if, right? Let's do this. Let's drop the buy bug here and go back. Boop, boop. And hit create scout.
So you have to tell it that if it's trying to go to the index, then you should go to this else statement.
So what's happening is it never really hits this else, right? We can see it very clearly hitting this create. So we can refactor this code and we can simply attempt it here and then do if add scout, right? What would this return? What are we trying to do? We're trying to see what? Look, let's check it out. Yeah, I'm gonna do this, right? And then I could see whether or not add scout was valid. Did it save to my database? False. Did not save. So I can simply do .valid here. And if it's true, it will redirect to scout. If it's false, then it will do this. So if I put the add scout inside my if statement, it does not pass on to my else. Cool? I have to create it outside of this if else. Does that make sense? Awesome. So bloop, 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 bloop. Hit this. Cool. Little back action, little new action. Cool. Now I'm hanging, right? Now I'm inside the by bug, inside the else, as I thought I would. So what are these? Planet can't be blank, right? Do I have access to add scout? I do. So it's all nil here, right? So in my render new, do I have access to add scout?
You have access to the scout object, but not the scout that was created.
Yeah, actually. Pretty good. The question I want to answer is, in my render new, which remember requires this add scout, when I render it here, will I have errors and scout? The answer is yes. Yes, add scout was created here. Alrighty, it attempt to create, but as you could tell, when it failed, it still had all nil values. So in my render, in here, right here, inside the else block, I can check what is add scout and also what is add errors. And then we'll pass them into render new. So it will not break for me. Does that make sense? Cool, let's do it. If I were to go and continue, you got a question?
About the code.
Yeah.
Like when you're rendering new, is the scout instance coming from the new RESTful route, or is it coming from the create RESTful route?
Right here, inside render new, render will simply return the response of this new ERB. It does not go back here, does not reset add scout, which is why I needed to create add scout here, so I have errors and new inside this block here. Yeah?
So when you re-render new, is the URL in the address bar still going to be like /create?
No. Watch. So check it out. See scouts? I'm going to hit /new. If I were to hit create scout, I'm going to do this for you. Okay, that was weird. That was weird. Oh. Wondering. Cool. So, okay, we don't need that. So, I'm going to hit create scout. It's going to hit this. Add scout gets attempted to be created. It fails this validation, else hits the by bug, which we actually don't need. Gives me errors, which are the full messages. Currently it says planet name can't be blank. And then it renders new. Let's see that work. Boop. Cool. Now, I want you to watch something. Check out this URL here. As I fail this validation. Why did it go to /scouts? That's where the form submits to /scouts. So if I were to fail a validation and render, it will follow the route of the form. Meaning, as a user, if I were to hit create scout, and for whatever reason, I've been on this page for a long time, I'm like, huh, that's terrible. And you know, you've done this, right? You've like left a page on for a long time. The first thing you do is when you come back after like an hour, you go, great, I'm going to refresh. It's going to refresh the URL that's in the browser, and index does not exist. right? So now you know why I broke index in the beginning. So how can I make sure it redirects?
You want to redirect.
I want to redirect it, right? But before we even get there, let's actually get the errors to show up on the page. Cool? First thing I want to do is I want just, I think Dick went over this, right? You guys have some sort of like unordered list, right? And then you can create list items inside. So what I could do inside this order list, I have something called errors. So at errors is just simply an array. For each of them, I want to, what? Create this li and simply display the error, which is a string here, so I don't have to do error dot something. It's just a string. And then I can end. Yeah.
Is it best practice to create that errors variable rather than just calling? Because you also have access to the scout variable in the view, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you could just call add scout.errors.fullMessages.
Inside the view, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. What Dan is saying is that I have access to add scout here. I can simply do add scout dot errors dot full messages here, and then iterate through them, right? While that is correct, and that there's nothing wrong with that, what winds up happening is you add too much logic to the view.
Okay.
Too much logic to the view. All right? Because you'll notice this is a very simple page, and I already am winding up with 20 lines of code. I want to extract as much logic as I can into the controller, and then anytime I call something in the controller, I want to extract that into the model. So the goal is like fat model, skinny controllers. Nice. So that being said, right, as it pointed to earlier, it's Ruby, right? I don't want this. Look up. And I just want to display the error, right? What's going to happen right now as it is right there? Literally the string error, right? But we know we need that Ruby joint. So if I were to, again, attempt this, I will see planet can't be blank.
Can you make the text red?
Yeah. So what's going on here, right? The problem is I have this scouts, but I want it to be scouts new. And the only way I could do that is I want to, instead of rendering, I want to redirect to what? The new scout path, right? Which is what gets built for me in my resources, in my routes. Yeah. Yes. So here what we could do is inside this, I hit refresh. What's going on here? At errors doesn't exist because if I hit the new, errors don't exist, right? Like in the first time I get to new, does at errors exist here? It's simply going to do this, right? What I can do is very commonly in programming in general, not necessarily Ruby, it's called nil wrapping, because at errors, the first time I load it, the first time I get through, at errors is nil. It does not exist. It's never even been defined. So I can simply do if at errors even exists, oops, then run this code. But this looked like Ruby. What the? What the? Look, look. And then I can end this if statement. Terrible. Man, I'm gone like 3 days. Cool? Yeah, let's do this. Oh, that's terrible. Cool. Yeah? Ugh. The heck? Cool. So first I want to check if the errors even exist. And if they do, execute this. Otherwise, do nothing.
Why is it called nil?
Because I want to make sure I check to see if it exists. Otherwise, it will break in this. So I want to make sure I wrap this whole thing in something that checks for something whether or not it exists, right? We learned about this truthiness, this truthy value in Ruby. Cool. So if I were to hit create, what would happen? I'm sorry, I'm redirecting to the new Scouts path, right? I'm no longer rendering. I can keep my new here, but what's happening now? As I redirect to the new Scouts path, it hits this, and it renders new. I lose my @, errors. So very important distinction that we touched upon in the beginning in Sinatra. What is the difference between a render and a redirect? Right? So let's get into it. Here, this is very important. I want to be able to do this. And then, can I do that? Dang it. All right, I'll drag it this way. Cool. Sweet. All right, cool. It's just so we have everything here, right? So, this is what's happening. Bloop, actually. Cool. This is what's happening. When I hit create scout, let's take a look at what happens. I start this post to create scouts, right? A post to /scouts. It will send over the params. It will try to begin the transaction, roll back and fail because I have like nothing in my planet. And then it will do exactly what I tell it. Redirect to, right, in this line 23, scout/new. Complete, send back a 300. Because if you remember HTTP codes, 300 series is a redirect. Now you can see it in action. If I do a redirect, that means I'm going to now start a brand new GET request. Started gets to scout/new, which is why the URL remains the way it does, and then processes it, simply renders the ERB, status 200, I see this form. Now, what happens when I render new and not redirect? Let's take a look. I'm going to, hold up, great. I'm going to hit create scout. The heck? Create scout. It started this post to /scouts, sends the params, begins, fails the transaction because of rollback, and it does not redirect. It simply renders new, status 200. There is no new request, therefore, the @errors exist right here. If I do the redirect, one more time, if I do the, I'm flipping it now. See what happens? That new is trash. So if I hit create, remember, starts the post, fails the transaction, hits a redirect, gets a brand new request. We talked about this in Sinatra. What happens in the request stays in the request. So @errors in this redirect starts a brand new GET request to new. Scouts here, errors does not exist, errors is gone, renders new, I will not see my errors here as it is @errors. What we want and what would be a solution to this is can I pass in data for one extra request, right? I basically want this, the errors, to go into the redirect and into new, one extra request. Does that make sense? Are there any questions as to what our current problem is right now and the difference between render and redirect? All right, just give me a quick thumbs up flash if you're good with render and redirect and the difference and how it affects your instance variables. Great, it is lunchtime. We've booked 1:30 to 2:30 in K where I can finish this lecture. We will pick up right where we left off in the render versus redirect. Cool? Thanks for your time.